Welcome to another deep dive. We're going to be looking at a pretty interesting book today. It's called Obvious Adams, the story of a successful businessman.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's kind of a classic in the business world, and basically chronicles the rise of this ad man, Oliver B. Adams.
Okay.
And he's got this nickname, Obvious Adams.
Interesting. What makes him so obvious?
Well, he's known for kind of like cutting through all the noise and finding these simple, straightforward solutions.
So it's not about being flashy, it's about getting to the heart of the matter.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to be unpacking today.
Looking forward to it.
So, to kick things off, let's talk about Adams's early life. You can tell right away this guy is a go-getter. Starts in a small-town grocery store, then boom, he's in New York City, working in a market and going to night school all at the same time.
Ambitious.
For sure, super ambitious. And that drive leads him to this lecture by James B. Oswald, a big name in advertising.
Okay, I see where this is going.
So, picture this. Adams is in this lecture hall, probably surrounded by tons of other aspiring ad men. And what does he do? Walks straight up to Oswald after the lecture and says, "I want to work for you."
Bold move. What did Oswald say to that?
He basically tells him, look, I don't think you're cut out for advertising.
Oh, wow. Talk about a blow to the ego.
Right. But Adams, he doesn't let that get to him.
How does he respond to that?
He just kind of acknowledges it, doesn't argue or get defensive. He just accepts it as a challenge, almost. And he sets out to prove Oswald wrong.
So he's persistent. I like it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what? That persistence pays off. Oswald eventually gives him a junior role at the agency.
I bet he didn't just sit around waiting for things to happen, did he?
Not a chance. Even in this entry-level position, organizing periodicals and such, Adams finds a way to shine.
Like what?
He completely overhauls the filing system, makes it more efficient, less prone to errors.
Not the most glamorous job, but hey, gotta start somewhere.
Right, but it shows he's not afraid to roll up his sleeves and make things better, even in the smallest tasks.
It's about taking ownership, initiative, and looking for ways to improve things around you no matter what you're doing.
Exactly. And you know what's even more interesting? He actually suggests that a less expensive employee could handle the filing after his revamp.
Whoa, wait. He basically automated himself out of a job.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It shows incredible foresight and that he's putting the company's needs ahead of his own.
That's definitely got to get you noticed by the higher up.
Absolutely. It shows he's not just efficient, but also thinking strategically about the big picture.
Smart.
So we see this pattern early on. Adams takes initiative, finds simple but effective solutions, and isn't afraid to go above and beyond.
Yeah, I'm starting to see why he was so successful.
Now let's jump into some of his early successes at the agency. One that really stands out is the Canned Peaches ad campaign.
Canned peaches. That doesn't sound too exciting.
I know, right? But they were having trouble coming up with an ad that would really resonate with consumers. And Adams, he comes in with this brilliant approach.
What did he do?
Instead of focusing on the peaches themselves, he tells their story, like a journey.
A journey.
Yeah, he highlights the whole process, from the orchard where they're grown to the careful canning process, emphasizing the care and quality at each step.
Huh. So he's creating a narrative around it, almost like giving the peaches a personality.
Exactly. He's tapping into something deeper than just the product itself. He's building a story that connects with people on an emotional level.
So it's not just about the features or benefits, it's about the experience, the feeling.
Right. And it works. The campaign is a huge success. People are drawn to the story. They feel a connection to the product.
That's a powerful lesson right there.
It really is. Sometimes the best way to sell something isn't to shout about how great it is, but to tell its story in a way that resonates with people.
Makes sense.
And, you know, it's not just about creating a catchy story. There's a real strategy behind it.
Oh, I bet. How so?
By showing the entire process, he's subtly addressing concerns about quality and production, you know. Like, are these peaches grown with care? Are they handled properly? He's building trust and transparency through the story.
Ah, I see. It's a clever way to tackle those unspoken doubts people might have.
Exactly. And don't you think you'd be more likely to buy something if you understood the care and effort that went into making it?
Absolutely. It makes you feel good about your purchase, like you're supporting something genuine.
And it shows Adam's ability to take something complex, like the whole process of growing and canning peaches,
Right. It could be pretty technical.
and distill it down to this clear, engaging message that resonates with everyone.
That's a valuable skill in any field, honestly. Being able to communicate complex ideas in a simple, relatable way.
Absolutely. It's not about dumbing things down. It's about finding the essence of your message and making it accessible to everyone.
You make a good point.
Okay, so we've seen Adams excel at finding simple solutions and crafting compelling narratives. But what happens when things don't go as planned?
Good question. Does the book cover any of his failures?
It does. There's this whole chapter about a cake campaign that totally flopped.
A cake campaign? How do you mess that up?
Well, the initial approach was all about extravagance. Flowery language, luxurious imagery, the whole 9 yards. But it didn't resonate with the target audience at all.
I guess you can have too much of a good thing even with cake?
Apparently so.
Ooh.
But as always, Adams comes in with his obvious approach.
Let me guess. He simplified it.
Exactly. He completely shifted gears. Instead of focusing on the fancy stuff, he went back to basics.
Basics like what?
The taste, the smell, the visual appeal, the simple pleasure of enjoying a slice of cake.
It's like he's appealing to our primal instincts, right? Like,
How?
who doesn't love a good piece of cake?
Right. It's a very grounded, almost visceral approach that cuts through all the fancy marketing fluff.
So in this case, obvious wasn't about being clever or sophisticated. It was about understanding what truly drives people's desires.
Exactly. It's about tapping into those core motivations that make us tick.
And that can be more powerful than any fancy marketing campaign.
That's the genius of Obvious Adams. He's always looking for that underlying truth, that simple connection that resonates with everyone.
Yeah, I'm really starting to see the depth behind this whole obvious thing.
Me too. And that's just scratching the surface. There's so much more to unpack.
So it seems like Adams's obvious approach wasn't really about being obvious at all.
Right. It's more about this deep understanding he has, this ability to see the simple truth that everyone else misses.
Makes you wonder how he developed that kind of insight.
Well, the book dives into that a bit.
Mm.
There's this great anecdote, the Unprofitable store, that really showcases his power of observation.
Ooh, I love a good story. Tell me more.
So picture this. The Monarch Hat Company has 2 stores.
Okay.
One's doing great, the other's struggling.
Classic business dilemma.
Totally. And they've tried everything to boost sales at the failing location, Advertising, promotions, sales, you name it.
But nothing worked.
Nothing. So they call in Adams, desperate for a solution.
Makes sense.
Now, you'd think he'd immediately start digging into sales figures, maybe analyze their marketing strategies.
Right. Seems like the logical place to start.
But Adams, he does something totally unexpected. He goes straight to the city to see the stores for himself.
Interesting. So he's not just relying on data and reports.
Nope. He wants to experience it firsthand.
Smart. Sometimes you need to get out of the office and see things with your own eyes to really understand what's going on.
Exactly. And that's what leads him to the solution.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What does he find?
Well, the struggling store, it's on a busy street.
Okay, that's good, right? Lots of foot traffic.
You'd think so, right? But here's the catch. It's tucked away, almost hidden from view.
Ah, I see. So people are just walking by without even noticing it.
Exactly. Adams realizes all the advertising in the world wouldn't help if people can't even find the store.
Wow, that's such a simple but crucial insight. It's like the location was a bottleneck, choking off their potential.
It was. And think about it. This was something that everyone else had overlooked. They were so focused on the store itself that they didn't consider the bigger picture, the customer journey.
It's like that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can have the best products in marketing, but if people can't access them, it doesn't matter.
It's so true. And Adam's solution, super simple. Relocate the store to a more prominent position, make it impossible to miss.
And I bet that did the trick.
It did. Sales picked up almost immediately once they moved. It proves the importance of understanding every step of the customer experience, even the ones that seem obvious.
It's like that aha moment when you realize something so simple can make such a huge difference.
It is. And it highlights this core principle of Adams's approach, deep observation. It's not just about seeing what's there. It's about actively noticing, questioning, and connecting the dots that others miss.
It's like he was thinking, if I were a customer looking for a hat, would I be able to find this store?
Right. He put himself in the customer's shoes, and that allowed him to see the problem from a totally different perspective.
And that skill isn't just valuable in business. It's important in any field, really. Whether you're designing a product, writing code, or even just communicating with others, understanding their perspective is crucial.
Couldn't agree more.
So we've seen Adams apply his obvious approach to office efficiency, advertising campaigns, retail locations. Pretty versatile, right? What's the underlying principle that connects all these successes?
Well, I think it comes down to this. Adams had a deep commitment to understanding the fundamentals.
Fundamentals.
Yeah, like whether it was the process of canning peaches or the psychology of a cake craving, he wanted to really get to the heart of the matter.
Ah, so he wasn't just looking for quick fixes or trendy solutions.
Exactly. He focused on the core elements, the essential truths, and built his solutions from there.
It's like he believed that complexity often masks simplicity. If you can strip away the unnecessary and get to the essence of the problem, the obvious solution will often reveal itself.
That's it. And that's a really valuable takeaway for all of us, especially in today's world where everything seems so complex.
We're constantly bombarded with information and options. It's easy to get overwhelmed and overthink things.
It is. But Adams reminds us to take a step back, focus on the fundamentals, and trust that the simplest solution is often the best.
I like that. So tell me, how does Obvious Adams view the future of advertising?
Well, the book actually dives into that.
Yeah.
And, considering it was written over a century ago, some of his predictions are spot on.
Really? Like what?
For example, he foresaw that industries like opera and libraries would need to market themselves more effectively to reach wider audiences.
That's interesting. It seems obvious now, but back then, those were institutions that probably didn't see themselves as needing to advertise.
Exactly. But Adams recognized that even traditional institutions needed to adapt to a changing world and connect with people in new ways.
Forward thinking.
He also talked about the importance of transparency, particularly when it comes to pricing. He used railroads as an example, arguing that they needed to be more upfront about their fares to attract new riders.
Interesting. So he understood the importance of honesty and clarity in building trust with customers.
He did. And I think that's something that resonates even more today, in a world where information is so readily available.
Right. People can easily see through any BS.
Exactly. Transparency and authenticity are more important than ever.
So what's the biggest takeaway for you from all of this?
For me, it's that reminder to embrace simplicity. We often get so caught up in trying to be clever or innovative that we miss the obvious solutions that are right in front of us.
It's like we overcomplicate things unnecessarily.
We do. And Adam shows us that sometimes the most impactful solutions are the simplest ones. It's about cutting through the noise, focusing on the fundamentals, and taking direct action.
So we've talked a lot about Obvious Adams and his approach. What are some of the key takeaways for our listeners? How can they apply these ideas to their own lives?
Well, I think one of the biggest things we can learn from Adams is that blend of deep analysis and that pursuit of simplicity. He didn't overcomplicate things. He really broke a problem down to its core, and then he looked for the most straightforward path to a solution.
Yeah, I think that's such a crucial point. It's easy to get caught up in complexity, thinking we need to find these super intricate solutions to impress people. But as Adams shows, sometimes the most direct route is the one that really has an impact.
Absolutely. And remember that whole interaction he had with Oswald at the beginning. I mean, he tried to wow him with some big, elaborate ideas or all this industry jargon, but instead he was just direct, honest. And that really resonated with Oswald.
It's like cutting through all the noise and getting to the heart of the matter. And I think that's a powerful lesson for all of us, honestly. We live in a world where we're constantly bombarded with information. It's easy to overthink and overcomplicate everything.
Right, like we feel this pressure to always be coming up with something new and innovative. But sometimes the most effective approach is just to strip everything back, focus on the essence of what you're trying to achieve, and go from there.
And remember that story about the unprofitable hat store? It would have been so easy to get lost in all the data, all the sales reports. But Adams understood that sometimes you need to step outside of all that, observe the situation firsthand, and really trust your gut.
Yeah. He was able to see what everyone else had missed because he took the time to look at the situation from a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, where in your life could you benefit from taking an obvious Adams approach?
Right. What's that situation that you're maybe overthinking right now? Or what problem seems really complicated but could actually have a much simpler solution?
What if you took a step back, looked at it with fresh eyes, and asked yourself, what's the most obvious solution here?
Sometimes the answers are right in front of us. We just need to be open to seeing them.
It's like we need to trust our intuition more, seek that clarity, and then, most importantly, take action.
It's about finding that balance between deep thinking and straightforward action. That's the real magic of Obvious Adams, I think. It's not just about being obvious. It's about discovering that simple truth that's often hidden in plain sight, and then having the courage to act on it.
And that's what makes this book so powerful. It's not just a guide to advertising or business. It's a guide to better thinking and more effective problem solving. And honestly, who couldn't use a little more of that in their life?
Exactly.
So to wrap things up, I think the challenge for all of us is to go out there and find those obvious solutions in our own lives.
Hmm.
What can we simplify? Where can we be more direct? And how can we trust our instincts to lead us to those breakthrough moments?
I think that's a great place to leave it. Food for thought, for sure.
And that's it for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.